The logistics of shipping Christmas trees. Americans buy over 25 million Christmas trees yearly. That's a lot of trees that need to be shipped from Christmas tree farms across the United States to tree lots and retailers. Much of the U.S.'s Christmas tree production is based in the Pacific Northwest, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, although a smaller number of trees are farmed in many other states. The climate of the production area largely drives the species planted, which is commonly Fraser firs, Douglas fir, balsam fir, black spruce, and white spruce. The Douglas firs in particular are traditionally produced in the Pacific Northwest, while balsam firs are commonly grown in the Northeast. Both black spruce and white spruce are generally grown further north, including the most northerly sections of the United States and much of Canada. Fraser firs, however, are commonly grown in the higher elevation regions of the Appalachian Mountains, including predominantly North Carolina. Each species features slightly different aesthetics, aroma levels, and needle retention. While it might seem awful at first glance that so many trees are cut yearly, these trees are all farmed and grown specifically to be cut. If the land wasn't being used for Christmas tree production, it would simply be used for some other form of agriculture. At any one time in the United States, over 300 million Christmas trees are growing on around 350,000 acres of land. This generates around $2 billion of economic activity annually. So how are these millions of Christmas trees brought to market across the country? Keep in mind that as soon as a tree is cut, its clock is ticking as it starts to dry out. Starting at the tree farm, trees are loaded on various types of trucks or even containers if they are being transported outside the continental United States. Many Christmas tree farms are quite small, but some are also larger commercial operations. Each farm will likely prefer to ship their trees in a slightly different fashion. Most will bale the trees with some sort of netting, then load it onto a truck. Often dry van trucks are used for shorter hauls, but refrigerated trailers are commonly used for longer hauls, for example, from the Pacific Northwest to Florida or somewhere like Arizona, to make sure that the trees stay as fresh as possible. Some shippers for very short runs also like to use various types of open trailers or flatbeds. However, on longer journeys, this can create potential problems for the trees. Much of the agricultural shipping volume is heavily seasonal, and the Christmas tree industry is no different. This means that the on-season creates peak volume for a certain industry or crop, which always drives truckload pricing up by quite a bit. So in short, if you are shipping Christmas trees, prepare to pay a higher price than you might think you would for normal dry van freight. Also talk with your logistics providers as early as possible to plan capacity requirements, even if it is an estimate. Often the peak season for Christmas trees is at the very end of November, as retailers want to make sure that they have inventory available as shoppers start buying trees right after the Thanksgiving holiday. In years past, carload rail freight was also commonly used to move Christmas trees. This carload is being loaded on a rail spur in the Pacific Northwest in what appears to be a Northern Pacific Railroad boxcar, which is then being shipped to Atlanta, where it will be unloaded and the trees trucked to their final destination. While not too many Christmas trees are still moved via carload rail freight, intermodal presents an attractive shipment option for trees moving long distances. Dry van 53-foot containers are generally used, while for international shipments or shipments to outlying U.S. territories, 40-foot containers would be handled by the ocean carriers. Intermodal presents shippers moving freight long distances the ability to reduce their shipping cost while maintaining truck-like levels of service. For Christmas tree shippers, a mix of truck and intermodal shipping will hedge freight cost and optimize freight capacity based on need and length of haul. Just like with trucking, often containers, even dry vans, are loaded with ice around the trees to keep the trees as fresh as possible on their trip across the country. Here are our top tips for shipping Christmas trees. 1. Plan early. Work with your logistics partners to plan the timing and quantity of transportation needed as early as possible. This will ensure that everyone is on the same page and capacity is properly allocated. 2. Shipping requirements. Clearly communicate your shipping requirements. Do you want to use dry vans, reefers, containers loaded with ice? All of this will need to be planned well ahead of time in order to mitigate high transportation cost. Get drivers in and out quickly. Often for Christmas tree shippers, the standard 2-hour window might not be enough time to properly load and ice a truckload or container load of trees. It's better to be proactive and schedule a 3-hour window if needed. Just make sure that this is planned well ahead of time. If you are shipping lots of loads, consider working with your partners to put together a drop trailer plan. 4. Hedge capacity. This year is a tight market for freight in general anyway, with rates much higher than in previous years. Consider mixing intermodal into your mix of freight on longer lanes in addition to your trucking partners. This will reduce freight rates and be a source of extra capacity. 5. Careful handling. The goal should be to reduce stops and handling as much as possible. Not only will this reduce potentially damaging limbs and needles, but it also will reduce overall transportation costs, as additional stops and dwell time can quickly increase shipping fees due to added driver time and asset usage. Next time you're buying a Christmas tree, ask them where the Christmas tree came from. Often, the closer the tree farm is to the lot, the fresher it will be. This year, while you're decorating your Christmas tree, remember the amount of planning, hard work, and the number of people and logistics companies involved in moving your Christmas tree from the tree farm likely 1,000 miles away to your living room. More videos coming along from Zmodal very soon.